Hello and welcome to my first video in quite a while. Had a lot of things going on in the past 2 years, mostly good. Um, but I think I mentioned once before that I was in the process of trying to get my FAA Airman Medical to see if I could pursue aviation as a career. Long story short, I walked out of my AME with a special issuance Class 1, which puts airline transport pilot on the table. In the intervening time, I've been putting time into flight school. I was working full-time for a while. I am now on a more part-time schedule and able to pursue flying, full-time. So the objective right now is to get my first I've got to get my medical reinstated. It was approved probably about 48 hours before the pandemic hit. So it's been really hard because it is special issuance, trying to coordinate all the other medical professionals that I have to get signed off on this, coordinated so I can get the exams that they need to do done. They've understandably had their hands a bit full with other things. So first objective is to get my medical reinstated, which I'm fairly certain is going to happen in the next 3 weeks. Got everything scheduled out the way I need it to. And so we're just going to hit it and go for it. And then I will be flying about 5 times a week until hopefully I finish my private license and my instrument rating by the end of summer, which is a really ambitious goal. I don't necessarily know that I'm going to hit it because 5 times a week is a very intense flight schedule, and there will probably be times where, some weeks where I'll just be like, look, I am beat. I've got to schedule out, because it's really drinking from a fire hose. I carry a lot of knowledge into this, which has made, the hours I have done very, very easy for me, but I don't want to overestimate my abilities. And kind of in that same vein, 2 weeks ago, I was lucky enough to get a chance to go up and take a glider up for my first glider orientation flight. And I've always wanted to do that. It was everything I hoped it would be, and I am definitely going to be looking into joining the Tulsa Skyhawks, which was the glider club that took me up, because I think it's a useful and important skill for a pilot to have, because it's all dead stick. It's just, it's gliding. So I really feel being able to control an aircraft and get a good feel for your energy state that way is very useful. And it's just something I've always wanted to do, and I enjoyed a lot. So I will be pursuing that in tandem with my powered flight stuff as time and things will allow. But a lot of big changes in the past few years, and mostly for the better. So coming back to this specific simulator I'm flying, I bought it the day it came out, and I've been impressed with it. I haven't put a whole lot of time into it just because I've been so busy with other things that it's just been hard to find time to sit down at the computer and actually play much of anything lately. But gradually wanted to make more time for it, and I figured this would be as good an intro as any to kind of get back to making videos. I might have mentioned this before also. It's been so long I've forgotten all the things I've covered already. When I upgraded my monitor to a 2K monitor, that resolution change, I have been editing with a very old version of Lightworks, and it typically only likes 1080p video input. So this 2K is right out the window. I've tried, it was ugly, it didn't work. So this video is going to be very unedited. It's just going to be me flying around, talking, and then publishing kind of, how it comes out. So I apologize if I kind of get rambly, trying to fly the plane and talk. Hunting for some thermals, and I keep getting such mixed indications on this sim from other people. I'm trying to find out, some people say it does do thermals, it just doesn't do them very well. Other people are saying it does thermals, but they're broken. And then there's other people that are saying there's no thermal modeling whatsoever. Since I've only been flying gliders in the simulator for about a week now, I really don't have any knowledge base to reference here. So I'm occasionally getting pockets of lift. In this specific scenario, I set up the weather. There is no wind, so I'm not catching ridge lift, But there is something out here, in certain locations where I can start, getting some altitude going, but it's kind of inconclusive. I got a really good thermal briefly when I took the glider up in real life, which that was a really interesting experience because they let me fly it under tow. Obviously, the instructor in the back seat handled my takeoff, but they let me fly it under tow because I did have some flight experience, and that was my first time flying formation with something, because that's basically what you're doing is you're trying to hold kind of a nose up attitude. So you're a little slower than the tow plane, so you keep constant tension on the line. If you get fast, the line will get slack, and then when you slow down again and the line, gets pulled taut, you get these shock forces, which is what will cause a line break, and that'll end your flight, a little earlier than you're intending to. It's basically kind of managing airspeed with pitch, and then, also dancing on the rudder pedals to stay directly behind the tow plane. See, almost getting something resembling lift here. And occasionally in this same area, even with live weather, I can get something, I've kept this thing up for an hour before, just playing around. I don't think I'm going to get that good of a day today. And some days are just bad glide days. That's just how it works. But I don't want to get too far away from the airport. That was one of the biggest lessons they drilled into me, is never lose sight of your landing field. No matter how carried away you might get, because the wind might push you a lot further out than you were hoping to go, and then you're landing out and having to call somebody to come pick you up with the trailer. So yeah, I think one of the things that had me stepping away from simulators for a while is I had a really bad experience with the Just Flight Piper Warrior 2. In real life, I'm flying a Warrior 2 as my primary flight trainer. And so I know the aircraft, kind of how it should handle. And the rudder response on the Warrior in this simulator, is just all over the place, and I can't control it. It's the exact same plane I have in X-Plane 11, and I'll probably do some videos showing it off. And it flies so much nicer in X-Plane 11. There's obviously some things they've got to sort out in this sim, but I was just getting really discouraged that, like, all these skills that I have, I was trying to practice them in the simulator, and I was not getting the results I wanted. And coupled with the frustration I've had trying to coordinate my medical and all the other things, I was just like, look, I don't have time for sim flying. I'm just going to put this away for now. But, getting up there and just spending some more time with the simulator on its own terms, like in the Cessna, in the planes that I know it was built for, that were built for it and work well, has really got my confidence back up. Getting my landings back under control, getting my airspeed, pitch, power, trim, all that stuff back to basics. It's a really good way to build up my confidence, because, starting next week, if everything goes correctly and weather permits, I will be in the cockpit 5 days a week for, an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time, because I'm in the cross-country phase of my training. And going forward, I want to use this simulator to kind of show the things I've been going through and, skills I'm learning and stuff. Obviously in an entertainment educational context only. I am not a CFI, and even if I were, you cannot take anything I use in this as gospel, especially with, my relative inexperience. I've got a ton of hours in simulated flight, real life flight experience, not as much, obviously. So you can tell how animated I am talking, because it's like whipping my track IR around. But yeah, I really like the way this thing flies in the sim. It feels a bit on rails, especially compared to what I was flying. The stick on the two-seat trainer glider I was on was basic. It looked like a bicycle handle, honestly. So This is definitely a much higher quality aircraft than the one I flew in real life, but I also feel like the handling on it is a little rigid, a little too predictable. But also, this is a windless day, so um, but on my second flight up in the glider, my first time I was just so disoriented because I haven't been at the controls of anything. I did okay on the lineup, but my instructor intervened pretty early and took over to handle the landing. But second time through, handled the lineup like a pro, and he basically just had to handle the touchdown. So I won't say like a pro. That's getting way too high opinion of myself there. But it's really interesting talking to my instructors and the other students and just other club members about, all the things they do to manage unpowered flight. And this is a technique that I've been using in simulators since Flight Simulator 10, which is side slip. And I love doing it. Flying the plane in sideways to control my speed. And once you're down, it's like driving a unicycle. You got to balance your weight, use aileron to stay upright, steer with the rudder, and then pull back on the elevator to give you some of that differential braking, which obviously is not as intense as what I get in the Warrior, because you also get prop wash on that. But I have been taught in my flight training to use the brakes as little as possible, preserve the brakes and the tires. We're going to have to do a little mechanical braking here. But yeah, like I said, the objective right now is hopefully at the end of summer I'll be holding my instrument rating and starting my CFI commercial training. And then after that, you've got multi-engine instructor. I basically want to collect them all and take this as far as I can. There's a lot of opportunities even outside of the airlines that I'm looking at. A lot of cool stuff that is available out there for flying. And we'll just see how things go. But as I go forward, I definitely want to find a video editing solution that works better for me, so I can maybe make these videos at least to the quality that I used to, and not just do these kind of raw, file dumps onto YouTube. So I've said this before, but stay tuned. The objective is definitely to get some more stuff out there more regularly, and I'll be using the simulator a lot to kind of demonstrate things I'm learning, and a lot of stuff I already know, but just like different spins on it, like how I operate the plane I'm in currently. So if you stuck through this far, thank you, and stay tuned, and I will try to have some more stuff up as we go forward.